Hello students, I welcome you all to VVR-IAS, India's the most premier organization imparting coaching for civil service examination. In today's class, I would be basically giving you an orientation related to sociology. Before telling you anything formally about sociology, I want to tell you the fact that actually these days, that is even in 2024, it is the optional which really matters whether a candidate would be selected or would be eliminated. Why? Because I want to tell you the fact that optional is the real game changer. Optional is the real game changer because candidates can score 60% plus marks in optional and they can never ever score 60% marks in general study. In addition to that, I want to tell you the fact that all the candidates who have been selected last year, all the selected candidates have scored more than 60 more marks in optional paper compared to general study. Then I want to tell you that what is the criteria for deciding optional. How to decide optional? I have been teaching the civil service aspirants for the last 20 years. Across the country, students every year ask me a question, "Sir, what is the best optional? What is a scoring optional?" At the outset, I would like to tell you the fact that there is no concept like best optional. There is no concept like scoring optional because in each and every optional, students have become toppers, and in the same optionals in which students have become topper, other students have also not scored good marks. Therefore, instead of asking a question whether the optional is scoring or not, whether the optional is best or not, you ask yourself a question like, do you really enjoy the subject matter of the optional? That means whether the subject matter of the optional is interesting for you or not. That should be the first point kept in your mind. So first you keep in your mind whether the subject matter of the optional is interesting for you or not. In addition to that, the second point that I want to add is availability of guidance. The optional that you decide for civil service examination, are you in a comfortable position to get a better guidance in that optional? If you are under the influence of a good guide, then definitely you would be able to score good marks in the optional. Then come to the third point in matter of deciding optional. The third point is to what extent your optional is really contributing to the general study paper, English essay paper, as well as 𝐕VR-IAS. So these factors should be kept in your mind before deciding the optional. And the last point, in fact, the most vital point in matter of deciding the optional is the optional that you plan to opt for written examination, that optional must be less technical. So optional must be less technical. If it is more technical, it's very difficult to grasp the optional, cover the optional in a short period of time. So these are the four important factors that should be kept in your mind before deciding the optional. In addition to that, I want to tell you that sociology being an optional is really less technical. Even if you analyze the rate of success, the trend of success over the last 7-8 years in UPSC civil service examination, you would draw the inference that many students from non-sociology background, that is from engineering background, from science background, from commerce background, from management background, they have also scored extremely good mark. They have also become toppers. For example, I have mentioned, you see, I have mentioned name of some successful candidates. I have mentioned here, you can see it. This year's topper, Mr. Animesh Panda, Animesh Pradhan is this year's topper. Second topper, he was an engineer. Last year's topper, Gamini Singla, non-sociology background. Previous year, Jagrati Awasthi, rank second, also non-sociology background. So in this way, I want to tell you, other candidates are also there, their name has been mentioned. All these candidates were from non-sociology background, but opting sociology. They scored extremely good marks. That's the reason they became topper. So success of these toppers in IAS examination be a testimony to the fact that sociology optional can be opted by any candidate, and if she or he is putting sincere effort by adopting strategic approach, I can assure him that he or she would also become successful in the examination. In addition to that, I want to add an additional point. Why to opt sociology? What are the benefits if you are opting sociology as an optional? Because at the beginning I told you the fact that it is the score of the optional that will decide whether you would be selected or you would be eliminated. So why you need to opt sociology? First thing is that sociology is all about the study of society. Sociology is all about the study of society. I think student of any background knows about society. Second thing, you have been born and brought up in society. So in the process of growing up in society, you know about the subject matter of sociology. Then you might not have done any degree in sociology, but in the process of growing up in society, you know the subject matter of sociology. Therefore, I want to tell you the fact that your knowledge about sociology may not be academical knowledge, but definitely it is experiential knowledge. It is your existential knowledge. That also I have mentioned here. Your knowledge about society is but experiential knowledge. Then next is common sense knowledge about the topics of society. That also helps you a lot for understanding the subject matter of sociology. For example, take example of marriage. You must be knowing something about marriage. Whether you are married or unmarried, that doesn't matter. You might be knowing about family because you have been born in family. You know some marriages become successful, some marriages become unsuccessful. Unsuccessful marriage gets terminated in form of divorce. So you have basic ideas related to family, related to marriage, related to divorce. For that purpose, you need not need to read any book. In the process of growing up in society, you know all these things on the basis of your common sense knowledge that you acquire in everyday's life. In addition to that, I have mentioned these are the different topics of sociology like family, marriage, divorce, prostitution, crime, kinship, education, politics, religion, industrialization, urbanization, and a host of other topics. And all these topics are new to you. You know all these topics even if you have not studied anything related to sociology. Then the next point I want to tell you related to sociology, that how sociology helps you in qualifying the IAS exam is that first, syllabus of sociology is very small compared to other optional. The syllabus of sociology is very small. Second thing, as I told you, subjects of topics of sociology or subjects of sociology, they are interesting like family, marriage, kinship, educational system, religion, all these things. Third thing, sociology helps you in developing analytical ability. Next thing, topics of sociology can be studied by adopting multiple approaches. Just like a diamond has many faces, same topics of sociology can be studied in more than one ways. So in this way, sociology helps you to think in different dimensions related to the same event. Then next thing, sociology helps you for developing debating ability. In addition to that, I am telling you, there is an essay paper, English essay. Its weightage is 250 marks. Once you are opting sociology, your preparation for English essay is automatically done. You need not require to put any extra effort. And apart from that, I want to tell you, in written examination, in general study paper, there are 4 papers. Sociology contributes to all the 4 papers. Just in the next slide, I will be explaining you how sociology is contributing to all the 4 papers of your general study. In addition to that, come to interview. In interview, questions are asked related to society. So once you are a student of sociology, definitely your preparation for interview or 𝐕VR-IAS would be automatically done. In this way, sociology helps you for interview. Right now, come to contribution of sociology to different areas of your UPSC civil service preparation in a very diagrammatical manner. I have written all these things. So how sociology is contributing to English essay, sociology is contributing to general study, sociology is also contributing to general study paper. This is English essay, this is sociology is contributing to general study paper 1. It also contributes for general study paper 2 and also contributes for general study paper 3. Also contributes for general study paper 4. It also contributes for 𝐕VR-IAS, and finally sociology helps you for enhancing your analytical ability. And subsequently, I have also mentioned how sociology is contributing to different areas in a point-wise manner. I have explained all these things. Let us go to the next. Just one topic that in today's class I want to discuss in detail. That topic is sociological perspective. What do you mean by perspective? Perspective means the way you look at different events of society. You see, all people don't think in the same way about the same event. So people have their own way of thinking about different events. So how the people think about different events of society, that is called sociological perspective. So for the purpose of explaining sociological perspective means the way of looking at the society, the way of looking at different events of society is called perspective. For the purpose of making you understand what perspective is all about, just I want to cite an interesting story. You see, there are 2 young men coming from 2 opposite directions. They got dashed with each other. They got collided with each other. They are young, energetic, having very warm or hot blood. So as soon as they dashed on the street, they got engaged in fighting in the street. While they started fighting in the street, first young man asked a question to the second young man. Why are you walking on the street without watching the street? आप क्यों रास्ता में चलते हैं रास्ता नहीं देखकर? Second young man put the same question. If I was not able to look at the street, what you were doing? Why did not you look at the street? Had you seen the street, we could have avoided the collision or conflict. Anyhow, social life is like this. Time passed. After some months, after some years, obviously these 2 young men, those who started fighting with street because of collision, they became best friends of each other. As they became best friends of each other, one day these 2 best friends were sitting at a hilltop in a moonlit light. While they were sitting at the hilltop in moonlit night, the first friend put a question to the second friend. My dear friend, have you remembered how our friendship was originated? The other friend replied, yes, my dear friend, how can I forget the way in which our friendship was originated? In fact, our friendship was originated out of fighting in the street because of collision. Right now, this friend asked a question to other. My dear friend, can you tell me for what reason You were walking on the street without looking at the street. And the friend replied, what to tell you, that day was really a very painful day to me, because that day I was going to divorce my wife. I was feeling extremely tensed, because divorce is not a good experience. So as I was going to divorce my wife, I was feeling tensed, I was feeling nervous, I was feeling helpless. So because of it, I was moving in the street with absent mind. His turn is over. Right now, he asked the same question to other friend. My dear friend, can you tell me why that specific day you were walking on the street without watching the street? The other friend told, my dear friend, that day was fixed for me for marriage. I was going to marry some lady. You know, during the time of marriage, the type of happiness, excitement that people feel. I was feeling the same happiness. I was going to marry somebody. I was feeling excited. I was feeling delighted. That's the reason I was not able to look at the street. So I could not see you coming from other direction. So I got dashed with you. And I want to tell you the fact that, to their utter surprise, they came to know the fact that the lady is the same to whom the first friend was going to divorce and the second friend was going to marry. Are you getting my point? Lady is same. First friend was going to divorce. Second friend was going to marry. If you understand this story, sociological perspective is completely done to you. How? Because you see, what the first young man was thinking? First young man was thinking, I cannot live with this lady. This is his perspective. First young man was thinking, I cannot live with a lady. But think about the point of view of the second young man. The second young man was thinking, I cannot live without the lady. So you see, I cannot live with, and other young man, I cannot live without. This is the real meaning of sociological perspective. Lady is same, but two persons are thinking in two different ways. First young man is seeing the negative elements in the lady, negative things in the lady, demerits of the lady. That's the reason he is going to divorce. On the other hand, the second young man sees the merits of the lady, positive qualities of the lady. That's the reason he thinks, I cannot live without her. Are you getting my point? So I want to connect it to sociology. Sociological perspective, you see, in sociology there is a topic religion. How perspective would be applied in religion? Just like one young man was seeing the negative things in the lady, another young man was seeing the positive things in the lady. In our society, there are many people, n number of people, those who see the positive contribution of religion. People, those who believe in God, believe in religion. Some of them say, oh, religion gives me peace of mind. Religion helps me for developing morality. So they see positive contribution of religion. This is their perspective. That is called functional perspective. Seeing the positive contribution is called functional perspective. On the other hand, there is another group of people in society who see negative contribution of religion. They say, in the name of religion, politicians are setting one religious community against another religious community for the purpose of getting vote banks. There is a group of people, those who think, in the name of religion, many professional saints, so-called God men and God women, they are exploiting the poor people, the needy and neglected people. So people, those who see this negative aspect of religion, that is their perspective. That perspective is conflict perspective. So in this way, religion has positive contribution. Functionalists see the positive contribution. Who are functionalists? Functionalists are the people who highlight the positive contribution of religion. Then who are conflict thinkers? People, those who see the negative contribution of religion. How in the name of religion Hindu and Muslims are fighting with each other? How in the name of religion in traditional India Brahmins were exploiting Dalit? How in the name of religion in Europe white was exploiting black? So people, those who see in this dimension, they highlight or they see, they observe, they witness the negative contribution of religion. That is called conflict perspective. So just like two young men were looking at the same lady from diametrically different angles, exactly in the same way in society, two groups of sociologists, they are also seeing religion from two different angles. One group of people are highlighting positive contribution, they are called functionalists. And another group of people are highlighting the negative contribution, they are the conflict perspectives. All of you are getting my point? So in addition to that, in this orientation class of sociology, where I am addressing you on behalf of VVR-IAS, the most premium institution of our country for civil service coaching, the last point that, let me take you to the last point in today's class. You see how sociology is interesting. While you would be enrolled in my class, I would teach you in detail by making you feel each and every topics of sociology very much interesting, and you would be completely engrossed and engaged in my way of teaching. But one important thing related to sociology that I would be discussing at the end of today's class, that is Durkheim's theory of suicide. You know suicide. You know suicide because the feeling of suicide comes to mind of each and every person on the surface of the earth. You cannot find a single person on the surface of the earth who has never ever thought to commit suicide, though he or she has not committed suicide. This is the reality. So Professor Emile Durkheim has made a detailed discussion about suicide, theory of suicide, but in today's class I cannot make a detailed discussion. Just I am showing you the tips of the iceberg in a very crispy, in a very precise manner. What is suicide? You see, sui means suicide. Make a derivation, sui plus side. Sui means self, side means killing. So killing oneself is called suicide. Farmers are committing suicide. Young girls are committing suicide, young boys are committing suicide due to different problems in life. So Professor Durkheim has discussed about theory of suicide. How he has discussed, that I am telling you. You see, Professor Durkheim has taken two factors for explaining suicide. First factor is social integration factor. What is social integration? Social integration is a mechanism which binds the people with each other. The way you are binded with your family member, that is called social integration. The way you are binded with your religion, that is called social integration. The way you are binded with our country, that is also called social integration. So social integration is a factor. Then another factor Durkheim has taken with respect to suicide, that is social regulation. What is social regulation? Social regulation is a mechanism which brings discipline in the life of the people. Social regulation is a mechanism which tells the people to obey the law of the land. So on the basis of these two factors, Durkheim has made a four-fold classification of suicide. Durkheim ने 4 टाइप का सुइसाइड का एक्सप्लेनेशन किए. क्या वो 4 टाइप का सुइसाइड? फर्स्ट सुइसाइड का नाम है इगोइस्टिक सुइसाइड, सेकेंड सुइसाइड का नाम है अल्ट्रुइस्टिक सुइसाइड, थर्ड सुइसाइड का नाम है एनोमिक सुइसाइड एंड फोर्थ सुइसाइड का नाम है fatalistic suicide. Just in a very, because due to paucity of time I cannot teach you everything in detail, but in a very crispy manner I am telling you. You see, this is x-axis and this is the coordinate 0, 0. So obviously x-axis from this side, that is minus side of x-axis. This is the plus side of x-axis. So integration axis, minus means that is disintegration. This is regulation axis, this is regulation axis, this is plus side of regulation, this is minus side of regulation. So minus side of regulation means deregulation, deregulation. You see, what is egoistic suicide? Egoist means x-axis minus side, that is disintegration. Durkheim says, while a person's attachment with a group means family, group means religion, group means country. While a person's attachment with religion gets reduced, the person experiences disintegration. This disintegrated person commits suicide, that is called egoistic suicide. In other words, I can say egoistic suicide is committed by the people who are experiencing disintegration. All of you got my point? I am citing an example just to make you understand. Egoistic suicide means a person not connected with his family. Suppose there is a civil service aspirant studying very well in every class throughout his academic career. He or she stood first class first. But she took UPSC examination, could not become successful. All chances are exhausted. Then, while all chances are exhausted, if he is not attached with family or she is not attached with religion, not attached with country, then obviously she would sit idle. She would not think about other members of family, other members of society. She would never think about what is the views of religion, his religion towards suicide. Then in that case, what would happen? One day he or she may feel tempted to commit suicide. Why she would commit suicide? Because neither she is attached with his parents, nor she is attached with his religion, nor she is attached with his nation. Why? Because if he or she is attached with family, he would think, I will never commit suicide because after my death, my parents would feel helpless. If she is attached with religion, she would think or he would think, my religion does not give recognition to suicide because all religions on the surface of the earth say suicide is a sinful activity. Therefore, she is not attached with a religion. That's the reason she is thinking to commit suicide. Similarly, if she is attached with a nation, that is our nation India, she could not become IAS, then she would think, yes, I could not become IAS. Tomorrow, I would compete for other things like I can become a minister. I would participate in politics, I would become ministers, and ministers are the real IAS makers, so ministers are the real policy makers. So why to commit suicide? I have to do lots of things for my nation. If she is attached with nation, if she is attached with religion, if she is attached with family, then she will never commit suicide. But as she is not attached with family, not attached with religion, not attached also with nation, that's the reason she is experiencing disintegration, and due to disintegration she is committing suicide. That is called egoistic suicide. Egoistic means, ego means self, ego means self, the person is, ego means self. So the person is self-centric person. Self-centric person commits suicide. Okay? Self-centric person commits suicide. So self-centric means disintegration is the feature, because neither he is integrated with religion, nor integrated with family, nor integrated also with nation. Okay, got it? Then come to the other side. Integration, here is coordinate 0, 0, right hand side means integration increased. Whenever integration of a person with a group means family, religion, country increased, suicidal potential got reduced. But right now integration increased, but it is surpassed beyond the limit. There is a saying in English, too much of everything is bad. Too much of everything is bad. Integration, he or she is having proper integration, it is good. But integration increased, surpassed beyond the desirable limit. Right now the person is experiencing over-integration. So over-integration will tempt the person to commit suicide. Over-integration will tempt the person to commit suicide. If a person is properly integrated, no possibility of suicide. But person is having over-integration with his family, with his religion, with his country, definitely he would be committing suicide. How? You see, I am citing example from battlefield. You know Indo-Pak War. The latest war fought between India and Pakistan is in Kargil front. You know, obviously the Kargil soldiers from Pakistan infiltrated into Indian territory. They occupied uphill position, advantageous position in different hills of Himalayas. So they were in better position. Right now Indian soldiers came to know the fact that okay, they have infiltrated. So Indian soldiers started thinking it is our duty to push them away. So right now Indian soldiers started climbing off the mountain. And you know in battlefield what happened? Battle drums are beaten. This battle drum injects spirit of patriotism, spirit of nationalism. Hearing the sound of this battle drum, they felt highly excited. They forgot the reality. They started thinking, I am a soldier. My country is in trouble. My country's security is at stake, in danger. I have to kill the soldiers of Pakistan or else I have to die. So while Indian soldiers started climbing up the mountain, Pakistani soldiers were occupying higher position. They pointed their gun towards Indian soldiers. In this way, they easily killed the Indian soldiers. You can ask me a question. Soldiers, Pakistani soldiers killed Indian soldiers. This is murder. How can it be suicide? Because Indian soldier did not kill themselves. I am telling you the fact that Durkheim says, if you have been inspired by an ideology, being inspired by an ideology, you are also meeting the death. That is also an act of suicide. Though Indian soldiers did not kill themselves, as they were influenced by patriotism, as they were influenced by nationalism, this injection of patriotic feeling or nationalistic feeling through the form of beating battle drums, that basically tempted them to march ahead in spite of knowing the fact logically that they are in downhill position. Enemy Pakistani soldiers are in uphill position, because soldiers standing at a higher position can easily track and trace a position, can easily track or trace a soldier climbing up the hill. In this way, many Indian soldiers were killed by Pakistani soldiers. This is because of the excessive or over attachment of Indian soldiers with Indian nation. Getting my point? Exactly in that way, I can cite another example of altruistic suicide. You know, these days terrorists, suicide bombers, they are becoming suicide bombers. They are planting bombs on their body and entering into crowded place, and they are basically switching the bomb, killing themselves and killing thousands of other innocent people. You see, this is over attachment. How? Because these suicide bombers, those who are fundamentalists, those who are terrorists, they are having over attachment to their group, that is the terrorist group. They think my life is meaningless, but the group that I represent, that is everything for me. So let me die for the purpose of upholding the glory of my group. So over attachment with group is the main cause for which they are killing themselves. So in this way, suicide bombers, those who are terrorists, their action is also an action of altruistic suicide. So in simpler way, by making a comparison, I want to tell you the fact that egoistic suicide is committed by the people having disintegration with a group, and altruistic suicide is the suicide committed by the people having over attachment with the group. And a group may be family, group may be religion, group may be nation. Right now come to other 2 points. I think time would not permit. Other 2 points are there. Okay, just in a very precise manner, I am explaining you other 2 points. Come to anomic suicide. You see, anomic means this is regulation axis. What is regulation? I told you. Regulation means a mechanism which teaches the people to obey law and orders of the society. Regulation is a device which makes our life discipline. Okay, that is regulation. You know, this is the negative side of regulation, means deregulation starts here. So Durkheim says, Anomic suicide is committed by a person. Anomic suicide is committed by a person who is experiencing deregulation. Repeating it again. Anomic suicide is a suicide committed by a person experiencing deregulation. And Durkheim says, people, those who are engaged in industry, engaged in business activities, engaged in stock market, they commit this type of suicide. Why? Because you know, business is full of risk. Participation in stock market is also full of risk. So, where there is higher possibility of risk, there is also higher possibility of deregulation coming to your life, indiscipline coming to your life. How? For example, there was a trillionaire or billionaire. He participated in stock market. Unfortunately lost everything. Right now became a poor person. Everything is gone. Yesterday his life was completely regulated. He was having thousands and thousands of staffs. Staffs were making his schedule where to go, when to go, and what to speak in different occasions. Right now, while he lost all his prosperity, became a poor person, obviously he is not able to pay the staffs of his company. Everybody left and he became a lonely person, came to street. Obviously, right now, gradually deregulation would creep into his life. So while deregulation would creep into his life, obviously he would feel tempted to commit suicide. That is called anomic suicide. And Durkheim says, particularly people, those who are experiencing marital breakdown, that is divorce, divorcees and participant in stock market, they commit anomic suicide the moment substantial deregulation creep into their life. And come to last type of suicide. Last type of suicide is fatalistic suicide. You know, this is deregulation. Right now, regulation increased. Good, no possibility of committing suicide. But regulation of society upon the person increased and surpassed beyond desirable limit. As I have told you, the fact that too much of everything is bad. Regulation is necessary. Because of a lack of regulation, person is committing suicide, anomic suicide. Regulation increased, possibility of suicide decreased. But regulation increased, surpassed beyond the desirable limit, person experienced over-regulation. And I want to tell you the fact that an over-regulated person feels tempted to commit suicide. That is called fatalistic suicide. Over-regulated person feels tempted to commit it. Actually, time does not permit me to make a detailed discussion, but I am just citing an example. While slavery was prevailing in European society, slave and slave master, during the period of slavery, slave's life was completely over-regulated by master. That's the reason during the slavery period, many slaves committed suicide. That is in Durkheimian's interpretation called fatalistic suicide. Therefore, Durkheim is of the opinion that fatalistic suicide is committed by the people whose life has become completely over-regulated. In addition to that, as there is no time to teach you more, just this topic I had planned to teach you, but time does not permit me to teach. So subsequently I would also teach you in detail. And I want to tell you one important thing. Really, it's an announcement on behalf of VVR-IAS Academy, the India's most premier institution imparting coaching for civil service. Okay, they have boarded me in their team of sociology, and there they have mentioned, if you join with me here in this organization, you would get all these benefits that they have presented in a point-wise manner. You just see it. You just see it. You just see it because my methodology of teaching sociology to civil service aspirant is like this, and that VVR-IAS has categorically mentioned. You can take a snapshot of it if you want, and this is all about. And if you want to join in VVR-IAS, would be starting our first batch of sociology on 6th June. You just contact the inquiry department of the organization, you get enrolled in it. Okay, this is my methodology of teaching you sociology, and I wish you all the best for your preparation. Thank you for attending my classes.